everyone, Michelle here from Scrappy Soul Sister, and today I am participating in the Iron Crafter Challenge YouTube hop. And so you can find this hop in the Paper Snob community group at Facebook. So thank you to Tara for hosting this every month. And the mystery ingredient is punches. And so I pulled out really, I don't have very many punches. So I pulled out the border punches that I have, and I am going to be playing with those. I have a bunch of Fiskars, and then I have this Tuesday morning steel so a punch system from American Crafts, so I can use that as well. And I am going to be scrapbooking Delilah, our puppy. And so I love this picture because it really shows off her angry old man eyebrows. And so I pulled an old Hip Kit Club collection. This is from January of 23, I think. And I just haven't used it yet. And so I'm excited to use it for our little girly girl puppy here. And I am going to either, do some paper layering either horizontally or vertically or diagonally or something to use these papers to build up this layout. And I thought there's this great grid paper, so I thought that could be the background. I think that's the closest thing to like a neutral solid in this little group. Well, I could use the pink too. It's kind of like a lavender, I guess, more than a pink. So those will be my two options, and it'll just depend on the papers that I pulled to use. This one's kind of nice too. So it'll be one of those two probably. And yeah, so let's dig into it and see what we come up with. I don't know if I do any mixed media at all. It probably will just be stencil and some distress ink. We'll see. We'll see what we come up with. All right. So I have gone through and picked out the papers that I want to use for my layering with my punches. And so I am going to stick with that lavender ledger paper for the background. And so I've pulled out my different punches, border punches, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am going to go kind of light to dark and go ahead and keep the blues at the end. It's not quite rainbow order, but it is close. And so I'm going to go ahead and punch out all of these papers. And so this is what I have come up with so far. And I'm going to go ahead and lay them in the order that I want to use. And some of them are wider than others because I wanted to go from narrow at the right and then gradually have more space as you work over to the left. And so that is kind of the direction I'm going in. I did I had the pink and the yellow reversed originally, but there is in that leaf picture or leaf paper, there is some of the pink, but there isn't any of the yellow. So I changed the order a little bit with that. Now I am inking all my edges with hickory smoke. And then as I adhere these, I'm adding just like a quarter of an inch each time to the spacing. And I am lifting close to the edge with foam tape just to give it that little bit of lift and dimension. So yeah, I am almost done with this portion of the design. And I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead here as the process was the same for each of those strips. And so I decide to go in with the strips going horizontally. And so I have one of the branding strips I'm going to use on the seam, and that looks like a pretty strong floral right now. But once I add embellishments and stuff, hopefully it'll make sense as far as why that is the one I chose. And the reason I chose to go more horizontally was so that I could do a bit of color blocking with my embellishments. And so you'll see what I mean here shortly. I did sew through that branding strip, and then I am ruffling up all the edges just for a little bit of texture. And I'm going to go ahead and add splatters before I put on my embellishments on this layout. Lots of times I do it after, but this time I'm doing it before. And yeah, I'm using the Dina Wakley Glossy White, which is my absolute favorite for white splatters. And I have her little face there, and I have used a die that I have from close to my heart that makes it look like a Polaroid. And I'm going to have her picture flat dab in the center of my layout because she is just looking straight on. And going to go ahead and back it with some of the Project Life cards that were in the kit. So I just love her little face. It is kind of has a Ernest Borgnine kind of feel to her. But it's really cute on a puppy, right? And so she has just been a great addition to our family. And her cute little face, and then she from behind she is like 100% panda. It is so cute. And so yeah, I am so happy with Delilah. She's been just a joy. And so I'm going to go ahead and have a little tag off to the side. Lots of times I'll use a tag or some sort of base underneath where I'm going to be adding some embellishments. And I did take another look at my punches, and I have this dragonfly punch. And so I don't think I've ever even used it. But I'm going to use that to add just a little bit of white. And then I'm also going to use this kind of chicken wire looking dye to add just a little bit more white, just to soften up that color, particularly at the top. So it also gives a nice border between. I'm like I mentioned, I'm going to do some color blocking, and so that just a little bit of white will help those colors pop a little bit more than they would without. So at least that's my hope. So all right, so I'm going to do some blues and yellows, yellowish orange, and then some pinks up at the top there. I have a couple word phrases I'm going to use, and before I started building my clusters, I just went through all of my embellishments and separated out the colors that I am using on this layout. There's actually quite a bit of color in this kit. There's navy and green and red. So I separated all those out and just kept the colors that reflected the papers that I chose. I am going behind a lot of my elements and adding some foam double stick tape. And then when I put down my dragonflies, might be a little bit off camera when I do the taping for those. And so I use double stick on their wings and then glue down their centers, just as I typically would for butterflies. So I this kit has a lot of small pieces, and so it is kind of fun to play with some different scales. And so there's that dragonfly that I mentioned, and then I'm just going to add some pink gems. I believe these were oh Bunny is the ones that I ended up using. I looked at Pink Fresh first, but they had a pretty high profile, and I wanted them to be a little bit flatter. So I'm going to use the Bow Bunny pink ones down their spines. I'm just going to use the same color on all of my dragonflies, as they all kind of ended up sitting on pink. And so yeah, that's how that all worked out. I did cut out quite a few of the flowers out of one of the 12 by 12 pages. And so I'm just taking a look at how I want to use those. Now, my little star trays are separated out kind of by color or by group that I wanted to use in each cluster. This cluster that I'm building over to the left is primarily going to be the pinks. There might be a few yellows that end up in there, but I don't think so. I think it's primarily going to be pinks, a little bit of that yellow tag. Excuse me, had to have a little something to drink, and yeah, I think that is getting close to being done. I'm going to add that little word strip and get everything adhered. And in this video, I am leaving a lot of the um, little cluster building, as these clusters are a little bit different for me, just for two reasons. First of all, because they're color blocked, and I don't do that very frequently. But also, like I mentioned, there's a lot of smaller pieces. There isn't a lot of large pieces, which is good because that allows me to keep the color, pretty tight. If there was a large pink piece, then it would cover some of that yellow, etc. But it is a bit more lots of touching and moving things around and that type of thing. So I love this little snapshots title. It's just perfect for this layout, and I like how it represents all the colors. I'm going to use that documented phrase. I'm going to continue to build up the flowers, and I love that little, love your fur baby saying off to the right. Now, this little sticker piece I got out of one of the sticker sheets that comes with the collection. This collection had a lot of like pockets and pocket embellishments. So I didn't use a whole ton of that on this layout, but I did like that little strip on the Polaroid frame there. So I had picked out kind of what I liked, and so now I'm going through and adhering it. I moved them up just a little bit up on that tag, and now I am using double stick tape and my tape runner to adhere everything. And so I typically will use the tape runner close to the interior part of the cluster, and then have the edges with foam tape sticking up a bit. I tried to work in that shoe. I just didn't get it to work. And she isn't chewing on shoes yet, but she's expressed some interest. So we're trying to um, really keep our shoes out of her space. So we'll see how long we're able to protect our things. So she is what, 13 weeks now, I think. So she's got a lot of puppy time ahead to cause some mass destruction. So I'm going to go ahead and put the little gems on my other dragonfly spines. And so I'm getting close to the end. I believe that's one of the last things I do on this layout. This layout was super fun. Lots of color, which was fun for me to use, and a great excuse to get out my punches. So if you haven't gotten out your punches lately, do so. You'll have a great time. So thank you, everyone. And here are some close-ups.